What is your will, my master?
Hey, what's up, Beau? Quick demo video for you for your Grogu saber. This is called the Child. As you know, this is by Shadowfoil Props, Sam Stevenson over there. And I have had your chassis for a while, and I actually had it done, but I was waiting on the saber to show up, and Sam shipped that. I think I got it last week, or maybe, yeah, I think it was late last week. But anyway, it's all done now. This is installed the Proffie V2. This has the crystal chamber chassis that Sam designed for this saber. So what you want to do to get to it, it's a little bit of a process, right? First, you want to take this. Let me turn the light on. Sorry. You've got your clamp card right here. You want to slide this off and pull it out. This is a one-button setup. It's a one-button setup to accommodate for the crystal chamber chassis. So you've got one plunger right there. You're gonna want to take that out and put it off to the side and don't lose it. Um, the second plunger is in your box, but they're not interchangeable. This one I had to cut down a little bit to make it work. So you want to make sure that you don't lose the one that I'm going to put in the saber. Okay. Um, take the pommel off. We'll go over the pommel real quick too. Now when you get this pommel off, you'll see your speaker right there. We could maybe pop it out if it wants to come out. You've got, I think this is a 20 millimeter KR speaker. It looks like that. That never comes out of the pommel, so you can just leave it in there. I just want to take it out to show you real quick, so you knew what it looked like, right? But it just stays in there like that. You will want to watch out though, because it will fall out on you if you're not careful. Okay. So when you take that out, you'll see your chassis right here. Just pull it right out. This guy is a little bit loose with no battery in it, but once we put the battery in it, it's nice and tight in the chassis, so it works out fine. Or it's nice and tight in the saber. The Saber's got stock V2 MPXLs here in your emitter, and then you've got a stock blade side PCB in there that also never comes out of there, and that's what that looks like. This was pretty cram foo, really cram foo. Actually, this is probably the smallest crystal chamber chassis I've done, and then I had to get everything to work because I did wire this crystal independent from the blade, right? So it'll do something different if you want it to. Right now, I just have the stock font package on it. It is set up for a secondary blade style on each font, but they're all just mirroring the blade right now. There's a copy of your config on your SD card like I was talking to you about, so it should be pretty easy for you to build from that, right? So you got your Proffie board right here. You can see that easy access to your SD card and your micro USB, so you never have to move the Proffie. And then this is the shock pogo pins for your speaker right here. This guy takes an 18350 battery, and I'll provide this for you. It's right here. It's a little bit hard to get in, and it's probably a little bit more difficult to get out. So it just takes a little bit, just takes some patience. It's not going to flop around on you, that's for sure, right? It's a super tight fit. Your positive side is by your crystal, right? And then you got the leaf spring over here next to the speaker pogo pins. That's the negative side of your battery. So just always remember that. We'll slap this guy in. Take that out real quick. Usually I tell people if it's a tight fit to make sure that that sticker is on the inside of the chassis. But for this one, I would say you can have it on the outside. It helps hold this chassis in place in the saber so it doesn't rotate while you're, screwing the pommel on. Sam has an option, and it's even in here in the chassis. You can see that hole right there on top of the switch. That lines up with one of these bolts right here, but these bolts aren't long enough. You would need to take one of these out, get a longer one that would hold this in place. But on this particular chassis, it's not necessary, right? So if we flip that open or flip that on, you're not going to hear anything because we don't have the speaker connected. But you can see the crystal lighting up. This is lighting up well. Turn that off. You've got, these are CC Sabers LEDs in here in your chassis. And then you got the stock V2s in your emitter, right? But everything's lighting up like it should. Looks really nice. One thing I did that Sam does differently is he used some very small set screws and he drilled and tapped to hold these brass pieces in. I didn't do that. I used small brass rod and I kind of press fitted them in there. And then I did some careful Dremel work after I put them in to just blend them with the brass pieces. So you can hardly see that they're there, right? Or they don't stick out at all. It's very smooth. That's just a personal preference. I think it looks fine either way, right? And it doesn't affect the saber at all. But when we go to put this into the saber, you want to make sure that that brass tactile switch right there is lined up with your control box. Put that in. Like I said, that battery in the chassis makes it really tight. It's a tight fit, but that works out well for this saber because it keeps this chassis from rotating on you. When we come in and we put the pommel on, which we're going to do right now. We'll just tighten this all the way down. So now we got sound. Now what you want to do is you put that small plunger we took out. You'll actually be able to, I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera, but when you get it in person, you'll be able to see that brass tactile switch right there in that hole, right? So we'll just take this plunger and we'll put it over it. And then we want to take it's going to look like that once we put it in right there. And then we're going to take our clamp card and we'll slide it over as well. So now this saber is fully put together, right? So we can come over here and hit activation. So your LEDs are firing up in your emitter, right? So those look good. Nice smooth swing. This is this is programmed for a 1-button setup, right? So you could use the activation switch or you could swing it on. Auxiliary is just tapping the switch. Or you could hit the saber. You get blade lock up until you pull away from it. Just like that. And then you have to get used to the 1-button setup. It's a long press to change sound fonts and stuff like that. If you need a list of button commands, let me know. I can send that to you. I use the FET263 button setup, which I think kind of mirrors the SA22 prop file for single buttons sabers, right? And then when you're done with it, we want to take the clamp card back off, drop our plunger switch out, and then we'll just take the pommel out again. To get the battery out, it's going to take a little bit of patience, right? So we get that pommel off. We can slide the chassis out. You're not going to be able to come in here with your finger and pop it out. You're going to need a tool like a pair of tweezers. What I like to do is I'll come in here from the negative side first, pop it out a little bit, because it's only going to let you come out a little bit. And I'll come over here from the positive side and I'll do the same thing, kind of inch it out a little bit. And I'll have to go switch back and forth 2 or 3 times until I can get this thing completely out. It's just super tight. Just like that. And try not to drop. And then we got the battery out and everything's good to go. But that's pretty much your saber. Let me know if you got any questions. If not, we'll try to get this guy out in the mail to you tomorrow. All right. Thanks.